Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here with our weekend edition of the show. The Cabral HouseCalls coming to you every Saturday and Sunday, answering our amazing community's questions. 6 questions answered on Saturday, another 6 on Sunday. All things wellness, weight loss, anti-aging, and always excited to be able to open up that big document, which I'm doing right now. So I always like to tell people, again, I'm not doing any prep work for it. I'm opening the document. I am answering this question as if you and I just bumped into each other, like we might at this October's IHP conference in October. And you just asked me a question. And as you ask me a question, I'm giving you a minute or two answer of where I feel you may not be looking, what you should be looking for, what you should test next, or simply a second opinion. But I have to just make sure you know that you are not getting any medical-based advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis. All right, so since all of that's out of the way, we can now get into our questions. Just do keep in mind, we're about 12, 13 weeks in the queue on questions. So the best place to get your question answered is by first entering in your search term at stevencabral.com/podcasts, whatever the search term it might be, like Hashimoto's or interstitial cystitis or rheumatoid or nighttime urination, like literally anything. And just pop that right in and see what comes up. Listen to the shows. And if you still have a question, ask it at cabralsupportgroup.com. And our amazing team may be able to find a show for you. And then if you're still not able to, because that'll only take one day, meaning like to ask around and to check, then ask it right at the Ask Cabral, and there's no issues with that whatsoever. I'm happy to answer it. I just, of course, hate to have you wait this amount of time, but as I always say, I can only answer so many questions in so much time. All right, so let's head into the first question with Sierra. Sierra says, "Hello, Dr. Cabral, and thank you so much for everything. You've been such an amazing mentor to my husband and I as we're moving and loving the IHP course. Can't wait for level 2. Oh, I'm happy to hear that, Sierra, and glad to hear you're in IHP. I had my first child 2 years ago in 2019 with no complications during pregnancy. The only complication that I can say is that for a few hours after giving birth, I couldn't urinate on my own, which led to a catheter insertion to empty my bladder. I'm not sure if this can be related, but I've been having this excruciating pain every month for 2 years, about 14 days or so after my period. That basically inhibits me from living a normal life for 2 to 3 days. I can't walk, and if I do, I'm hunched over, holding my lower abdomen where my ovary is, excuse me, due to a constant dull, inflamed pain. Anyhow, I've seen multiple specialists, been to the ER, people telling me everything is normal. You're probably just stressed as a new mom. It's been 2 years, and the only option they're giving me is birth control. I tried it for 6 months and it didn't help, or exploratory surgery. What would you recommend, or what could be the reasons as to what I have going on with the pain?" All right. So, one thing that I'm always recommending is that we look at just the foundation, right? So if you're not having any other symptoms, but the only time is during menstruation, during your menstrual cycle, yes, but during ovulation that you're having this pain. And I think even inside, because I was just trying to read this quick, I don't know how to pronounce this word, but I know exactly what you're talking about. It's something like Mittelschmerz. And again, I have no idea how to pronounce that medical-based term. But that is basically right around ovulation, days 14 or so, that you're getting cramp-like based pain. Again, we're just giving, what is conventional medicine really doing? They're just giving a name to the specific pain that you may have. So this can be follicle-based rupture. It can be specifically with the ovary itself. And I think that is most likely what's going on. Now, here's how we would help from a natural health perspective, okay? So from a natural health perspective, we would be looking at the big 5 labs. And we would be rebalancing everything that could be causing inflammation in your body. Because just remember, like in general, and again, I don't think that this would be caused by a catheter, like in my opinion, because we're not going anywhere near the ovary. So let's kind of take a step back. For natural health, what you want to do is what's causing all the inflammation in your body, the root cause, that's then leading to your specific Achilles heel. So for some reason, this is your specific Achilles heel, right? So my Achilles heel is always going back to issues with my Th2 immune system dominance that leads to a lot more mastocytosis and all sorts of like allergy-based symptoms, right? So like that's what I know is like always there, genetics underlying the surface. So that's how I am able to help women or men with specific conditions that don't necessarily directly relate to that ovary. If there's something going on specifically, it's like, well, if you have an autoimmune issue, I don't help your joints if it's rheumatoid arthritis. I don't help your thyroid if it's Hashimoto's. I look at what's causing the potential autoimmune dysfunction, and then I work from there. So hopefully that's helpful. I know you probably want more information than that. I would love to be able to help. But again, I look at the big five, and then, to start, I might do something like magnesium, daily foundational protocol level 2. I would do potentially proteolytic enzymes, and a third would be Inflammasoothe. So, but again, I would rather lab test first and find out what the imbalances are than kind of just put on a protocol. All right. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, Alicia is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for your amazing work. I hope you can help me with my gut question. I've been dealing with gut issues for a while. I took probiotics daily, and it wasn't until I found your podcast and learned that with people like me, probiotics may make things worse. I stopped taking probiotics and I noticed less bloating. However, my mood dropped down significantly. I understand the gut-brain connection, and I know I need to heal my gut to feel mentally happy too. Taking probiotics daily helped me stay happy and positive, but I noticed a big shift in mood when I don't take them. I feel depressed. I'm currently on Parasupport protocol. Next will be the CBO protocol. Any advice for me during my protocols? Should I suck it up for a bit and still avoid probiotics for a while, or should I start taking probiotics again and along with Parasupport? Maybe just sacrifice polarity. Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you for all that you do. All right, Alicia, happy to help. So here's the answer. You need probiotics. There's no doubt about it. And the reason why some people do better with probiotics is because they have a slower gut motility, so they build up more bacteria in their gut, and so probiotics doesn't help with that. Or they have an imbalance of bacteria in their gut, and they're adding more of the bacteria that they may already have in their gut. So what we typically do is just what you're doing right now, which is the CBO protocol. So you're doing Parasupport first. By the way, you wrote this in at the end of April. Well, we're into what? End of July right now? No, we are August 6th is today. So again, we're 3 months out. So you just follow the CBO protocol. So the CBO protocol introduces probiotics the way that they're meant to be introduced in the intestines. So you do the CBO protocol, you rebalance your gut. You might already be good by now, to be honest with you, because we actually layer them in. So we go the Saccharomyces boulardii, the dairy-free, Lactobacillus acidophilus, and then we move to the clean gut probiotic, and then you go to the daily probiotic support. So I'm assuming by now you're probably deep into the CBO protocol and you're probably doing well, but that's exactly what I would do. All right, it's exactly what I would do. All right, and then if you're still not good after everything, including the CBO finisher, then you run the bacteria and parasite stool test, and you figure out exactly what bacteria are high and which ones are low, and you add in the ones that are low. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. Darren's up next. Good day, Dr. Cabral. I don't know if a trigger warning is needed prior to this question, but is semen retention something that's actually beneficial for men? That is going days, weeks, or even months with intentionally minimizing ejaculating, usually done by either abstention, stopping intercourse, or self-pleasure before the point of ejaculation, or learning how to climax without ejaculating. While I'm seeing many anecdotal benefits, I understand some in Ayurveda say that it's, and again, I can't pronounce that word, which is healthy suppression. I know you usually have a more balanced approach. We'll appreciate your take on this. All right, so I've actually answered this question 2 or 3 times in the podcast. I don't know what I would written it under because I usually just write in what people are asking in their questions so they can use their own keyword. So let's just see here. And by the way, as long as it's a health-based question, people know that they can listen to this show with their children, that there is absolutely no profanity in the show. If someone wrote in profanity, I take it out. If there was ever an interview with profanity, I take it out. But I always like to make sure that it's for the whole family. However, I do want you to know that it is adult topics, right? It's about health. 1373 was on male ejaculation, but there is a show on this, but let me just give you the short answer and then we'll try to find a longer one. Okay, so in Ayurvedic medicine, they know that the more that a male, not a female, but the more that a male has an ejaculation, the more the male will actually become more run down. And with modern day science, we actually know why. So it produces excitatory hormones and neurotransmitters when a male especially has ejaculation. One of those is dopamine. Okay, so this is very interesting because it's why the Vata body type is said they should only, for overall good health, and we're talking about as they get into their later years, consider whatever you want to consider later years, in ejaculation once a month. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have sex more often, but what it's saying is don't ejaculate more than once a month for a Vata body type. I think that might be extreme for many people, but it's at least what Ayurveda recommends. For a Pitta body type, it would be once to twice a month, so every week to 2 weeks. And for a Kapha body type, believe it or not, it is daily or multiple times per week. And why do they say that? Well, keep in mind, Vatas are going to produce the most stress hormones, typically anxiety, etc. Pitta in the middle, but they produce large amounts of dopamine. And then the Kapha, though, more serotonin, more relaxed, typically neurotransmitters, not the excitatory ones. So what I would say is if anyone is dealing with brain fog, fatigue, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, anything where the body's feeling weakened, more of a catabolic state, again, having sexual intercourse, nothing wrong with that, just not coming to the point of actually ejaculating where then you might get some of the downsides of that. Again, if you're a healthy individual, you continue to do as you like, and I think all will be good as long as, again, everything in life is about balance. The more run down you are, the more run down you'll be with actually ejaculating. The reason is that you're also giving out more of your energy. And I think that's important to look at that as well. So this is for men. You can look into Tantra, you can look into all sorts of different things, which goes deeper into this. But hopefully that's a good place to get started. That's typically what I give for recommendations when asked by my clients. All right, Melissa is up next. Day 2, very nauseous. Took day off, did just dry brushing, Epsom salt bath, mixed with sea salt and lemon, supposed to be a natural Gatorade. Oh, okay, you drank that, yes. I did sweat, so that's good. Unfortunately, lost this as well, suggestions for nausea. All right, so I'm assuming you're doing the functional medicine detox. Really important, though, that we ask these questions either at support at equa.life or cabralsupportgroup.com. It does say right on the Ask Cabral page that these questions won't be answered for a minimum of 8 weeks. I just really want to say this to people. And the reason is that I don't want to disappoint you in thinking you're going to get this answered right away. It's just not. It's not fine print. It actually says more than 8 weeks. All right. So for some people, the very first time they do a functional medicine detox, it's not a lot, but some people feel nauseous. So the best thing that you can do is turn your daily nutritional support and water to a smoothie instead. So just put in 1 cup of berries or eat some berries along the side just to calm the stomach. Again, if you're not used to going a day without food, you might just be dysregulating your blood sugar, dysregulating your blood pressure, and you might start to feel nauseous, right? It's not necessarily just from like what you're consuming. It actually can be just from low blood sugar and low blood pressure. So move on the days 3 through 7 meal plan, no problem. Or simply have some berries mixed up with your shake like a smoothie, or just on the side, and that would be totally acceptable as well, because you're not going to be doing harm. Would I love for you in the future to do exactly as is? Sure. But like, keep in mind, you're going to get there, right? This is your first functional medicine detox. You'll get there for sure. All right. Next question is from Francesca. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm a type 1 diabetic, female and 24 years old. When I was 20 years old, I started restrictive eating and my weight dropped significantly over the course of a year, and did my estrogen levels as well. At that point, I was put on hormone replacement therapy and given doses of estradiol, progesterone. I also began eating disorder recovery. 3 years later, I have put on 50 pounds while still needing to eat very restrictive. My metabolism is very low, and most concerningly, I'm experiencing blood sugars above 500 every day. My question is, what exactly breaks a fast? I believe the hormone replacement therapy and eating disorder recovery has caused insulin resistance and causes me to take insulin even when in a fasted state. Is the insulin itself breaking a fast? There are a lot of studies that interchange the action of eating with the action of insulin secretion, but because I'm a diabetic, one does not automatically follow the other. I just began taking Triphala and noticed it has lowered blood glucose, but again, is this a fix to lowering insulin needs, or is this essentially processing the same benefit as insulin and furthering fat deposits? Your past podcasts on fasting suggest a lot of things that cause a glucose spike that will break a fast, but does not truly define if it's the insulin causing the fast break. Thanks. Okay, totally understand. It is not insulin necessarily causing the break in a fast, all right? So it's only one factor. So if there's an elevated level of glucose in your blood, it's difficult to get the full benefits of autophagy, which is really what most people are talking about, or fat burning when they talk about like wanting the benefits of a fast, right? So when most people are talking about fasting, I'm doing an intermittent fast, I would just say, hey, why are you doing an intermittent fast? Like for me, I'm doing it for health reasons. I'm doing it for autophagy, to try to kill pathogens in my body before they begin to multiply. Okay, that's my goal. Okay, that's my goal for balancing overall hormone levels, inflammation, healthy levels of inflammation, and so much more. Now, some people are doing intermittent fasting because they want to burn more body fat, they want to lose more weight. Okay, that's their reason. So like those are the two main reasons. There are a few others, but those are the two main ones. Okay, if you have an elevated level of blood sugar, you're not really able to do either one of those, right? So let's not consider it just insulin. Now, if insulin levels go up, sure, but insulin doesn't just correspond to food. Insulin can correspond to stress. It can correspond to, oh, there's actually glucose in the bloodstream, and then your pancreas starts producing more insulin. I'm assuming you are a type 2 diabetic because you're still producing insulin, but I don't know that for sure. So again, I can't provide you medical advice, so I'm kind of moving around this question. You need to talk with your medical doctor, your endocrinologist about, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And so typically when I work with diabetics, I am helping them choose 3 times of the day to eat every single day. And they do that within a half-hour buffer every single day, every day. And that's how we start to get the body far more balanced as it knows what's coming next. Okay. Then you'll work with your endocrinologist and you'll know how much insulin is needed for that specific meal. Okay, then what we do is we start to build in a normal intermittent fasting window. We also tried to do walking after each meal, which dramatically helps with what's called postprandial glucose levels. So that also does not allow us for great of a blood sugar rise. This is going to take weeks to kind of pull it all together. And then we're doing the big 5 labs and we're looking at, hey, what are the other issues? Gut issues, omega-6s for inflammation, hormones like elevated levels of cortisol, which can also increase blood sugar levels. So that's what we're doing. All right. So hopefully that's helpful. And if you only run one lab, run the stress, mood, and metabolism, which gives you all those cortisol and thyroid numbers. All right. Last question of the day is from Jenna. Jenna says, I heard that glyphosate will be banned in the US starting in 2023. Is that true? I am praying. All right. Good news and bad news, Jenna. Good news is finally they are banning glyphosate for lawns, gardens, home gardens, residential use. No more sales of glyphosate for residential use. However, I have not seen that they are going to ban it for like crop production, right? So the majority of glyphosate is used for crops, for spraying all over soy and corn or other things like that. So is it banned for that? Not that I've seen yet. I'm hoping so. Here's what I want you to be a little bit leery of. Wary, I guess, one or the other, is that I just want to make sure that it's not replaced with something equally as bad that they say right now is safer, okay? So let's be careful with that. But yes, good news is we got a win in our column, 2023, starting next year. Excuse me. Glyphosate will be banned for residential use, which is really great because like us, we don't spray our lawn. We actually use an essential oil-based spray for ticks and things like that in Maine. But What if my neighbor does? So luckily my neighbors don't, but a neighbor could be spraying glyphosate all over maybe their lawn, right? Or their garden or whatever, and it blows into yours. Not good, right? Especially if you have windows open, things like that. So the good news is that won't be the case in a year from now. So yeah, we got a win there, which I'm very, very happy about. All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. I'll be back tomorrow answering 6 more of our community's questions. Take care. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stephencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.